Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining us this hour. On today's edition of the program, we'll be looking at the bilateral relationship between Nigeria and China. It's looking as if the President Bola Tinubu, who traveled to China on some bilateral relationship, and then it's yielded positively to what I'm about to let you know now, and I'm bringing you updates fresh from the trip of China by the president. President Bola Tinubu and the Chinese president Xi Jinping in Beijing, China, announced the evolution of Nigerian-China ties to that of its comprehensive strategic partnership. The leaders also agreed to build a high-level Nigerian-China community with a shared future. During the meeting, both presidents witnessed the signing of several memorandum of understanding on various areas of mutual interest, including those on cooperation plan between Nigeria and China on jointly promoting the Belt and Road Initiative. So let me bring you up to speed to the memorandum of understanding that was signed between Nigeria and China. This agreement was signed, cooperation plan, a plan to jointly promote the Belt and Road Initiative, nuclear energy, a deal to cooperate on the peaceful application of nuclear energy, human resource development, an agreement to strengthen cooperation on human resource development under the Global Development Initiative, media exchange, and cooperation, a deal to enhance technology transfers between Nigeria and Chinese media groups. So those are the angles, and these are the MOUs that were signed between the presidents of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Xi Jinping, rather, Chinese president. So on this note now, I'll be introducing my guests who would help us understand all of this and then talk about the relationship and see how it's going to help benefit Nigeria and the economy. At last, joining me live via Zoom from the United Kingdom, Mr. Larry Toluhi, who is a foreign policy expert. Good afternoon, Mr. Larry. Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, while we still wait on Larry to join, we'll still be looking at these angles and then hoping to see that all of the questions being asked by Nigerians is actually going to be answered, and then we hope to see for a betterment of Nigerian economy and improvements in Nigerian road networks and infrastructures at large, manufacturing. So looking at these angles now, China and Nigeria have had a long-term relationship, and the trip to China by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is to foster and strengthen the relationship, the bilateral relationship between these two nations. So looking at what happened between the Chinese firm and the Ogun states, based on the contract that was signed and that led to the seizure of the presidential jet, the Chinese government had to step in so as to maintain and foster that relationship. So we are hoping to see and get to the aim and see how all of this is going to benefit Nigeria, and then what Nigerians stands to gain with this bilateral relation, and then these MOUs that were signed just a few days ago by the President of Nigeria and the President of the Chinese government. Larry, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Samuel, and good afternoon, everyone at home.
Good
I hope I'm
afternoon.
loud and clear.
Yes, good afternoon, Larry Toluhi. I can hear you loud and clear. Larry Toluhi is a foreign policy expert and also a political analyst. So, Mr. Larry, let's just get into it. I'm sure you're very much aware about the MOUs that were signed between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and as well as the Chinese president. So, my first question to you is, what do Nigerians stand to gain with this trip to China?
My brother, I think I need to thank you for having me, and good afternoon to everyone at home. You see, first of all, what do we call foreign policies, or what do we call uh, diplomacy and all that? Because in my own understanding, these foreign policies are meant to be legal instruments, right? That gets to guide us and that gets our interaction with different countries and all that. See, the basis for all these foreign policies that government are meant to do, because this basis for this is because we know that each country and each state are independent, and because this country are independent, yes, they are, but they need to interact with other nations because it is independent and they are sovereign, but nobody works in isolation. So all these policies are meant to work with us so that it could be a kind of beneficial relationship with other countries or with other sovereign states. And why countries are doing all this interaction, we have to understand that there is a template for every foreign policies. Every state, every country have their reasons why they're supporting a country or why they're having trade with other countries or what is going to be beneficiary for them to get at the end of the day. It is a way, it is a trade by barter kind of thing, or a bargaining chips. But we've seen it in the case of Nigeria that our people have not done that, or our leaders have decided not to do that. We've seen us embark in a lot of foreign engagement or bilateral relationship that are not beneficial to the populace. Well, I guess most times our leaders just go into these things when it's beneficial to just them and their cronies, but not with the interest of the people. Because you see, the basis of Nigerian foreign policy should be a should be primarily to promote the national interest. But for Nigeria, the case has been the different. We've seen our leaders just go into foreign policies just for them to be to be the beneficiaries, not the people. See, one is supposed great people we can say we have great bilateral relationship with is meant to be China, but we've seen how it has happened, and you keep seeing Nigerian government always signing MOU going into China, but how well has these things actually be beneficiaries to Nigeria and Nigerians as a whole? Because you see them, they give loans, we get loans from China, we get all this funds from China. And when you hear the amount, the humongous amount of money coming from China, I've sat down to ask myself, if such humongous amount is coming in into Nigerian economy, believe me, we won't be in this problem, no matter how people wants to be funny. But because people don't read within, they don't read the lines, they don't read in between the lines, because it is obvious that this money, yes, we get them as loans, but they're not coming to Nigeria. And you see most companies, you see these contracts being won by China, you see this infrastructural development, these funds are being taken for are being executed by Chinese company with Chinese personnel doing all these things. It's not a good deal because if we have those deals, the funds should be coming into our economy. And when the funds come to our economy, it should be empowering our people, not the other way around. I happen to work, one of the first places I worked in my career after I left school was a firm owned by Chinese. I don't want to mention it. And it's a platform, a very good platform, it's a platform, popular platform. And I worked there and I was one of the few Nigerians then. I was in the early 2000, okay, 2009, 2010. And you'll see what happened there. My brother, most of the equipment are written in Chinese. We have Chinese guys. You have these small boys come from China. They make them your bosses. I left because I'm a man that pride myself. I'm not proud, but I have a lot of pride in what I know. And they'll bring these young boys to come. You have every one of them Chinese. The Chinese even come to the country and they don't even eat our food. They import their food. So at the end, and they are being paid in Chinese currency, being paid back at home. So they're not paying tax here. So there are a lot of things. These things are not favorable to Nigerians. If you really want to say it, it is only favorable to the government or people in power and their cronies. So all these visits by the president and his people. For me, and Lagos State or Ogun State, well, that is not what we need. We need to see that we need to first sit back, understand how does this benefit the Nigerian people? How does this benefit the Nigerian nation? How does this benefit the people? And from moving the people from the poverty line to a comfortable zone, these infrastructures, how are they impacting our lives? Are they needed on? And if you are mortgaging the future of our unborn generations, how are these funds being coming? Because you will be surprised that 90 or 95% of these funds that they go to get from China or they go to borrow from China, never left China shores. Probably won't leave China shores because you see, Chinese will come to Nigeria, the construction will be done by their companies. The personnel will be their personnel. They're not being paid in naira. So their food, probably the only thing they pay in naira probably be is the accommodation. If they do that, because you'll be surprised that governments even give them those accommodation for free. So we need to now start understanding these things that we cannot keep going into relationship blindly. We went into relationship blindly even with South Africa then, because I remember as a young man that Nigeria was funding, Nigeria fought against apartheid for South Africa. Nigerians were giving money to ANC. Now today, for Nigerians to get to South Africa, you need to get a loan. Our leaders are not good negotiators. They don't know how to do negotiation. They just go into things with sentiment and emotions. And that is not how to lead a set of people.
Mm. Well, let's look at this other angle on, like, the impact of its economic development and benefits to Nigeria. How does Nigerian participation in China Belt and Road Initiative impact Nigerian economy, and how can this aid the, the, the development stage that Nigeria is now in terms of our road networks?
Yeah, yes, yes. You see, that was what I was saying. Right? This is meant to be a good thing. This is meant, believe me, if our leaders are sat down and if our leaders sat down and had a good conversation and weigh in and do all the analysis, all the comprehensive analysis, all the analysis they needed to do, the SWOT, all that is smart to see whether these things are smart. You will discover that it will have been beneficial, yeah. But like I said, where is the economic where is the economic value? See, you take a loan of, let's say, 2-5 billion, yeah, or dollars, depending on how you want to get the loan, and you don't bring the money to Nigeria. If you are taking the loan and the money came to the Nigerian economy, minus the infrastructural, you see, imagine giving that money, taking a 10 billion naira worth of loan, or 100 billion naira worth of loan, bring it to Nigeria, give it to Nigerian owned or locally owned companies to construct these roads with international standard. That way, these companies can now be empowered. They can now recruit. They can now engage Nigerian engineers. They can now engage Nigerian workers. They can now engage Nigerian artisans. The money will trickle down to the economy. That is what I'm saying. That is how you develop the economy. Because people need to be alive. People need to be healthy. People need to be able to feed, to be able to ply these roads you are doing, to be able to do the journey with the blue, red rail line and all that. The blue rail line, the red rail line, who is constructing it? Chinese civil engineering construction company. They are the one doing this. This still go back, the funds, I can tell you the funds still go back to China. Some of the funds never leave, will never leave China. And the few that left China is still going back to China. It's not coming back to our economy. So our people are just made to pay the tax to refund China. So the funds never leave China. The funds are always not leaving China. So there's no economic value. For also have economic value, we should bring the funds. So look, I don't have issue with borrowing. But what I have issue is, what are you borrowing for? And how are you dispersing the funds you have borrowed?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are borrowing money from China and the money is not getting to Nigerian economy, so why are you borrowing? Whereas you are going to be paying back with interest. So you are borrowing money from China to develop China, and you are paying back with interest to continue to develop China. What is wrong with us? Can't we just sit down and think, for Christ's sake?
Mm. Well, do you think there is any upsides of this bilateral relationship and this MOU that have been signed between Nigeria and China? How do you think Nigerian government can be able to salvage any form of upside, given the fact that we are obviously, Nigeria is obviously owing China a huge debt, and then we're having these relationships now, this MOU is being signed that is also going to foster good relationship, and as well resources also would go into it. So Looking at the upside and the downside now, how do you think the Nigerian government, what initiatives do you think they would have or put in place to be able to have an upside for Nigerians to benefit more with these recent MOUs that have been signed?
Ah, Sam. I told you, right? Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that the Nigerian assets are being seized and all that before anybody will have gone to want to take loan, Ogun State, Lagos State, Kogi State, Rivers State, every state, the federal government of Nigeria. I'm sure they have done their projection, economic projection, and decided to go into projects that they feel bring in economic value and all that. Just like I said, this MOU they've signed and this MOUs they are signing and they are not signing is not beneficial to us. There's no upside. If the upside had been there, we'll have seen it. We've been borrowing. Like you said, we already hold huge amount of money and we're not able to pay it. And our assets, national assets are being seized. Why is that so? Because our people just go in to do jamboree. We're going for the jamboree. Look, I have a feeling that these guys just signed this in because of a lot of kickbacks that come to them is unfounded. I'm not going to say, I'm not saying it is true, because that's the only reason anybody should go and sign these kind of things. You sign the thing. Like I said, which upside, which bright side are you looking at? The thing that when they go to sign these contracts, the funds don't even come to Nigeria. That is what I want us to understand. This money don't come. So there is no financial because the finance does not come to us. There's no human resource development part of it because China will still end up bringing the Chinese firm to come and do the construction, and this Chinese firm will recruit 90%. If minimum of 80% of the workers of these Chinese firms, of these professionals, will be Chinese citizens that are being paid in China because they get paid in China. I told you I've worked with a Chinese firm in Nigeria. I can mention them if you want me to. A Chinese communication firm in Nigeria that I'd worked with, that all their staff are being paid. That staff don't have their account. They all have their money in China. They just give them some little disbursement here. To their food as of then, far back 2009, 2010, were being imported to Nigeria. So they're not contributing to our economy. So we are being recolonized. That is just the word. And our leaders are selling us back. Now we've been colonized by the Europeans. Africans have been colonized by the Europeans. Now it is time for the Asians to colonize Africa. But that is what is happening with all these funny deals we are signing. We need to let this fund. If you want to borrow, I don't have issue with it. Go borrow. But let the funds come to Nigeria. Let it come to our economy. Empower our local manufacturers. Empower our local engineering firms. Empower our local professionals. Look, our professionals are brilliant. We all know that. Nigerians are brilliant set of people. Tell me any field in the world, and you take top 10 that you won't see two Nigerians on a minimum. So what are you telling me? So all our people just need is conducive environment to work on. But we always go to get these funds from China. We get this from where we are getting the funds, and Chinese will not let the money leave their country. They tell you what they want to do. I can tell you some of the equipment, even in the roads that they construct, some of the materials, they will bring it from China, where we have them in abundance in Nigeria. So are we not charging them for it? So
Well,
for me, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything beneficiary. I'm not seeing anything benefiting to the Nigerian populace in these loans. Any government that know what they are doing, we know that they need to sit down because it's just not to run out to go collect money. It's to actually sit down and see how, because all the funds they are generating, they will tell you, okay, oh, we've just done the Lekki deep sea port, blah 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 blah. Is that we are going to make 360 billion naira over a year? That is bull. Yes, we can make 360 billion. That means China is coming to come and benefit, come and reap where they've not sown. If they want that, they should give it to a Nigerian firm. Let the funds they borrowed us come to our firm, and that 360 billion, let it come to Nigeria too. It is going to be happening in Nigeria. They cannot take a cut from it. It's normal. It's no problem. But we cannot be selling ourselves back to slave masters.
one of the agreement that was signed in the MOU was what has to do with in line with human resource development, and then this is the aim to like strengthen cooperation on human resource and under the development agenda, global development initiative, right? So do you think China have more influence in Nigeria, not just in Nigeria, due to this development infrastructures that they come to build in several countries in Africa? Do you think this is giving them more influence over African nations?
Yeah, when you say human resource development, I just told you I worked in a firm, a telecommunication firm, Chinese telecommunication firm. I'll bring some Chinese guys and meet them, my supervisor. And when it's time to do the work, he will be calling you at late night to ask you how to go about the work because he does not know he's meant to be your supervisor because he knows no jack. But because it's Chinese, they bring him in. And the equipment are all written in Chinese. So when somebody is coming to train you, what is our official language in Nigeria? It is English, the last time I checked. So when the Chinese are coming to give you human resource development, they come with human resource development that is written in Chinese and they come to teach you Chinese. So how do you want to explain? How do you learn in a language you don't understand? You know what I'm saying, Sam? You don't learn the language. So that is not something I want to talk. And like I just told you too, Africa is being recolonized the second time. And whether we like it or not, we need to understand Chinese probably know that their landmass is not big enough to is not big enough to accommodate that population, and they just felt, where can we go? Just like the European came to Africa in the dark age, and they did. Now Africa is in a little bit of dark age because of our leaders. We are smart people, but our leaders decided to put us in dark age. China is investing everywhere. I saw a video sometimes last year, an African country where the custom and the immigration are being taught Chinese. It has becoming official because I think China is taking over their immigration and their custom because of the debt they have, the debt whole China. We are just being recolonized again because our leaders are greedy, and that is what is happening. So yes, Chinese has an advantage. China and the Chinese have an advantage over us because our leaders have decided to sell us cheap.
We are hoping the trip that Mr. President made to China also help, revalidate that, and then not just to like get infrastructure and help develop Nigeria and boost Nigerian economy, but to benefit Nigeria and its citizens at large. But Mr. Larry, we'll be going on a quick break. When we come back, I still have a few more questions for you, but please do stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Midday Discourse on Global Television. I've been having an interesting conversation with a very good friend of mine and brother Larry Toluhi, who is joining us from the United Kingdom. Larry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, now let's look
Can you
at
hear me?
this angle. Looking at the recent events that happened between Ogun State and a Chinese firm, do you think this MOU that has been signed between Nigeria and Chinese, do you think we are going to have any form of backlash? Looking at the loans that Nigeria have incurred from China.
Yeah, you see, what is happening between Ogun State and the Chinese firm is quite pathetic. And we could see three past governors, okay, no, two past governors and the present governor. None of them have actually told us who incurred debts, who took the loan, and all that. It shows us how our accountability is is in shambles, how people can take us for a ride. And at the same time, I think it buttress my point when I said most of these loans are not being taken in the interest of the populace. It's been taken in the interest of those in power or those in government or those in authority, depending on how you want to say it. Because look at it, money had been taken, loan had been taken for infrastructural development that should have improved the IGR of that state. And at the same time, too, because when you're taking loan for a business, when you're taking loan for development in a state, it should be projects that you know that can metamorphosize to a stage where it can pay its debt it by itself. You know, if you're investing in cottage farming, if you're investing in cottage companies, if you're engaging in agriculture, or everything you want to invest in, it should bring out an industry where that industry should be able to pay back or to be able to service the loan. But it's not happening. And because it's not happening, we find ourselves where we find ourselves. And when you say if there's going to be a backlash or a repercussion or whatever, the truth is any loan we take from China now, if we don't sit back and rethink, if we don't sit back again and re-strategize, if we don't sit back and now look at it that, okay, yes, we want FIDs, we want foreign direct investments in Nigeria. But what kind of foreign direct investment are we looking for? Are we looking for foreign direct investment that will enslave us again, or a foreign direct investment that will emancipate the country and emancipate our people and give our people this kind of freedom and give us what we believe an average Nigeria is industrious, an average Nigeria is creative, and an average Nigeria is very smart. Just give us the right condition in a right society with the right structure, and you see we'll be flying high. But we will just find ourselves in a situation where we have people that don't care. So there might be repercussions, there might be backlashes, but hey, I'm not a prophet of doom. I hope and I keep hoping that maybe with this government, they'll be able to sit back and say, okay, yeah, we've gone to take loan, we've signed new MOUs. Okay, how can we correct it? Because it is better late than never. It is never late for us to start taking the right step in the right direction.
Mm. Well, talking about taking the right step in the right direction, what are the geopolitical implications of the Nigerian diplomats and this current bilateral relationship between China and Europe?
What do you mean by geopolitical implications? Because already we're in Africa, China is in Asia, and that is where we are. So when
Y-
it
y-
comes to geopolitical,
yes, you made mention of Europeans colonizing us, and then now the
yeah.
Asians are looking to do the same. So now, the question is, do you think Nigeria will be caught in the crossfire in terms of, these infrastructures and the development coming in from through different part of the world?
We'll be caught out. See, I'll tell you, my brother,
Mm,
Let us be factual and don't let us lie to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the humongous amount of money we have borrowed in disguise for infrastructural development? And this, can you see the reality on ground? The answer is no, because we've borrowed, we are not seeing the result of what we've borrowed. Now, when you say the Asians, it's not the Asians, the Chinese. These Chinese are gradually and systematically taking over, and it is obvious. Because if you look at assets they go for every defaulting state or defaulting country, you know that they know what they're doing. Now we have greedy set of people across board that just are looking for money to do what I don't know. So the implication is that they didn't come to colonize. We decide to go meet them and told them, come recolonize us. That's what they are doing. Oh, Chinese come colonize us. We have spaces. We are greedy. Look, you see, for those that are falling to guys doing fraud, if you are not greedy, you will not be defrauded and you will not be scammed. But our leaders have shown a lot of greed. Our leaders have shown that they all think of their selfish interest, and for some reason, I don't know, they want to take all these loans. We are not seeing the realities on ground. We are not seeing things these loans are being used for. And come to think of it, you think they'll take us serious? We went to beg China for money. We went to go sign MOU with China. Did you see the presidential flight or the air flight or the aircraft that took our president? Did you see the people he went with? He went with a delegation of people nothing less than 50, if not 100. You said you are broke, you need money, and you went with that elegance, that such opulence. But that's what we went with. We went with fanfare. Come on, nobody takes us serious. So when you are saying that it will definitely have, because you have seen our national assets being seized. They will still be seized if we continue in the way we are going. But if we decide to think, because even the funds, are you sure the funds are even coming into our country? I don't think the funds are coming into our country, and the funds are not coming into our country. If they're coming into our country, then we should do better. We should, because if China is borrowing us money, we should, okay, you are borrowing us money. Now, all you need to know is how we want to spend this money, to do a justification of how we want to spend this money, probably give you a Gantt chart of our progress and everything. No problem, because it's your fund. But we should be putting in the national and the local content in every infrastructure we are doing. Not Chinese company always winning the contract. Not Chinese company using Chinese personnel to do it. Chinese are not as smart as our people. Believe me, forget whatever anybody is telling you.
Okay, let's look at this angle now. Every nation needs a bilateral relationship between any country of its choice. Maybe South Africa might need a relation between Taiwan, Indonesia, Malaysia, maybe. But looking at Nigeria and China now, and the amount of mineral resources Nigeria has been blessed with, do you think Nigeria needs China as China needs Nigeria?
It's a two-way thing, right?
Okay.
With right thinking leaders and purposeful leaders, intellectually savvy and intellectually smart and awakened leadership, it would have been a fantastic symbiotic relationship, which is
Mm-hmm.
beneficiary to both, because Nigeria is blessed with natural resources, blessed with human resources, smart human beings, smart set of people. So China will have been, China will have been the lucky people having us. Yes, and will have been lucky having China because of that development they've been able to do so far. Because you get to learn, like you said, it's bilateral, it's a two-way thing. But we have been bedeviled by bad leadership, intellectually stagnant, and lazy set of leaders that just want to spend, spend, and spend. They're not ready to think just for a little bit, and they're not ready to engage people that will help them think, because there's nothing stopping them to engage people that can help them think. Nigerians, smart, young, people that can help them think in the right direction and make right decisions. And like I've had to have discussion with some of my friends, and I said, look, if you have leaders that are just smart a bit, whatever thing or whatever breed they think they want to keep uh watering to grow in them, they can actually do times for every 100 naira, they can actually make it 2 million naira because and people will still be applauding them because they will have done it and there will be impact. But because they can't think far, they are short-sighted when it comes to thinking. They think they're thinking the way they're thinking. So if you have leaders that are smart, if you have leaders that are ready to do what you need to do, it will have been a fantastic relationship. Having such relationship with China, Nigeria-China relationship will have been the envy of the world because it will bring a lot of things. But hey, we are where we are.
Let's look at trade now and other aspects. Nigerian GDP just rose, so second quarter GDP rose to like 3.19%, right? And then we're still facing high rates of food insecurity, and fuel prices have actually skyrocketed from the usual that we do now. Is that the NNPC are selling at 897 naira, and other filling stations are selling 980, and some up to 1,100 per liter. How key is it going to be for Nigerian government to, you know, get into it and then find a way to bring back the current price of fuel and then make our rural communities safe for farmers to be able to go back to farm?
Um, I don't know, my brother. It is pathetic that in a country where we cannot even pay 70,000 as a minimum wage, because I know some states are still contesting not being able to pay 70,000. Um, and a liter of fuel is going on an average with what you said, 850. Then I just beat around an average of 950, 900, 950, right? Now, that means, and we don't want our civil servants to be corrupt, or we don't want Nigerians to be corrupt, and you pay a minimum wage of 70,000. A bag of rice is how much? A bag of beans is how much? A middle of gari is how much? Now you see, and there are school fees to pay, and there are house rents to pay. So what you're saying is, if a man and a woman works and they're even being paid, which I can tell you, up to 20% of Nigerian workforce and more than 500,000 and above. If you earn that, how they won't even still be able to survive. A family of four or a family of five won't be able to survive at that. So there's a lot of things we need to address as a nation. And if you want to address these things, it is simple and short. If we want our oil sector to develop, we have no business holding on to those refineries. I was on another platform last week, another TV station, and I told them that I remember before 2023 election, and Atiku kept saying he will privatize the refineries. The Nigerians were insulting him. He wants to do that. He wants to sell it to his cronies and all that. Are you happy? Are we actually happy having refineries that have spent billions, if not trillions of naira on yearly basis to maintain that cannot produce? South Africa had no single drop of oil, but they have 6 working refineries. Nigeria had no drop of oil until recently they say they're finding oil that I cannot ascertain. They have a working refinery. Are we not ashamed? We don't need to actually own these refineries. Privatize it to private individuals. Give them quota. Give them your rules and regulation. Give them what you want them to do. Let them refine oil, crude oil in Nigeria and give you end product. And let them know. And if you must hold on to NNPC, let NNPC have some shares, 10%, 20% shares in all of them. But those shares are not going to be, they are going to be shares, yes, premium shares, but with the signing that you are not bothered about the way they run, because you might not even have to sell it because people might not want to buy it. So those assets should be what is what your shares in those companies. These are easy things. And for me, like I've always said, I don't care who owns anything. I don't care who owns any refinery. All I want to see is I drive my car to the filling station and I'm able to get PMS. I'm going to get diesel for it or gas for it, as the case might be. I just want to drive in there and at affordable price without queuing up. So anybody from and make sure that the four refineries are sold or are sold to four different entities so that you break the monopolistic approach to it. Because Dangote refinery is working now, and all this thing that is happening, we need to understand that you cannot keep being monopolizing an economy and you want the economy to grow.
Okay.
It's not
Looking
that
at the,
happen with telecommunication. So we should do that in the oil sector.
looking at the president is actually the current minister of petroleum. Do you think he should continue occupying the office as the number one citizen of the country, given the fact that he has so much on his plate? Do you think he should get someone else that he trusts to be able to carry on from where he has stopped, so as to help curb out this current hike in petrol price?
Has he not failed? If he's a man of honor that I want to believe he is, tell himself truthfully that has he delivered or has he not? He has failed as a minister of petroleum. So he should resign and let someone that understand it. But I'm still be worried because I know his family has an oil and gas, they're in the oil and gas sector, and he doesn't know what he's doing about it. But there's no shame. Hey, age is on the side. He should give somebody that can do that. These things are easy. What is Mele Kyari doing in the NPC? It's obvious he had no business. He knows nothing about what he's doing. See, that's our problem. We hold on to power where we don't even have an idea of what to do. We just like having big and massive nomenclature. Should leave and let somebody take over. Somebody that knows what he or she is doing, not someone because the person belongs to a political party or to a political uh, political or a particular tribe or political party or religion. It should be somebody that is competent that will handle such sector and do the needful. We need to learn how to do what is right by people and build. See, we need to stop building legacy because I think that's one of the problems Nigerians are having. We all want to build legacy. We should start creating heritages and let people have heritage. You know, when you build legacy, they come and they go. But heritage, it goes through generations from generations to generations. I think that's what our leaders should be thinking of.
Okay. Now, as we're about to round up, given the fact that our time is no longer our friend, okay, let's still go back to this bilateral relationship between Nigeria and China. So, now, what are the potential risks now and benefits now for Nigerians at large because of these memorandums that have been signed as we round up?
You see, for domestic aspiration of a nation to be balanced, right?
Mm,
That nation uh, must learn how to strive with other nations, compare itself with nations that matters, and the foreign policies that such nations like Nigeria must be very strategic to actually sustain international relations, but it must not be at the essence or the expense of Nigeria. So we should now think about it. Okay, China is declaring about 17.89 trillion as its GDP as of 2023. Awesome, which is 5.2% compared to what it has in 2022. Awesome. So that is a nation that has shown that they know what they are doing because Nigeria was just barely then 362.81 billion US dollars, while China is 17.89 trillion, almost 18 trillion, with a 52, with a 5.2%. That is massive. So the country is doing something right, China is doing something right. So it's not nothing wrong in us learning from what they are doing. But we should be going into the place from a place of strength, from a place of advantage, and meeting China and telling them, hey, we love what you are doing. How do we get to learn this? We have this, we have this, we can trade on this, we can trade on human resources, we can trade on natural resources to learn this from you. China China will see us as a serious country, as a serious set of people, and they will deal with us with more dignity. Presently, China does not deal with Nigeria with dignity. That is just the truth. They see us, so the beggars are here again, and they give us what they can offer, and they give us all kind of terms. We are not coming from an advantage position, so we cannot really bargain. We should put ourselves in a place where we can bargain. Believe me, if you put ourselves in a place where we can bargain, in a proper place where we can bargain, you'll be surprised that even this humongous debt that we already have, China can write them off with a good. See, it's about good proposition, it's about good presentation, it's about good intent. So if you come in there and we do that, it's nothing. You can start to say, oh, China, okay, we've gotten China. Oh, where can we go to? We want to go to Russia. Oh, where can we go to? Want to go to the US? Oh, where can we go to? Want to go to Italy? See, it does not matter where we are going, but we should go to everywhere. But we should look at it from a point that if we sit down and we look at it very well, how beneficial is everything to us and how look, that's why we need to do the SWOT analysis, where we need to check our strength, our weakness, and our opportunities, and what are the threats to these opportunities, or how smart do you want to make the whatever thing we do, you know what I'm saying? So how scalable is it? We need to check all these things. How measurable do we have all these things? What is the accuracy of? We need to check all these things because when we do that, we're coming from a place of strength, and every country we go in with, or every country we meet in terms of bilateral relationship, will take us serious, and they will see us as a country with a lot of things to offer, not a country that just come to beg.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Larry Toluhi, who is a foreign policy expert. Thank you so much for making our time to join us on today's edition of the program.
Thank you for having me. It's a great
Yes,
honor.
sir. So, like you rightly mentioned, Nigeria needs to put herself in a position where we would be able to negotiate and have a strong negotiation power that would help benefit Nigerians and Nigerian economy at large. That's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of the program. My name is Samuel Odi. I would see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.